As the great man Mark Twain once said, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight, it's about the size of the fight in the dog. So let's see what dogs are ready to fight for a place in the grand final. What's going on, guys? Burgz here from The Casual Athlete, back to hit you with the second last tipping and predictions video here for the 2023 season. And today I am joined by our fantasy expert, Longy. Longy, how are you faring after last week's games? A couple of good matchups last week.
Mate, there were some crackers. Look, we're heading into the last fortnight of footy and the lights are brightest at this time of year, so I've got to protect the sun.
Definitely. If you haven't followed us already, guys, please make sure that you like and subscribe. We are bringing out content each and every week, even during the off season. Please make sure that you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. The link is in the description. And also, we are releasing this week our brand new 8 out of 8 selection of shirts available in white and black, as you can see there. And it's only for those perfect round tippers, guys. If you didn't get 8 out of 8 this year, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to buy one. I think that's the policy we're going with. Right?
We will be checking as well. So, look, I'm not allowed to buy one myself. I had a pretty crap year at tipping, but Miles, you could buy about 17 of them.
Yeah, I should have a few to warm up the cupboard, but as I like to do on this channel, Longy, I like to get right into the action this week. We've got the Panthers taking on the Storm on Friday night. Now, in the last few matchups between these two teams, they've played each other 7 times since that infamous 2020 COVID grand final. That's a lot of times to be playing one team, and the Panthers have won 5 out of those 7 games. How do you see the Storm? They are big outsiders in this game, potentially turning that around, or are they going to?
Yeah, I think they're rightful outsiders. I'm going to look at some stats here first to open us up. So, when the Storm played the Broncos had 5 middle forwards who ran 100 meters plus. If we look at last week's game when the Storm played the Roosters are missing most of their back line, but look at their 2 tries. You had Brandon Smith barging over, really simple try through the middle. You had Sandon Smith making a line break and then setting up Lindsay Collins for a try. So again, that middle channel was the vulnerability. The Roosters would have won that game if they had more of those outside backs there, but I guess you could say the same about Jarom Hughes for the Storm. The other thing I'm going to point out here too is Grant. So Harry Grant against the Broncos, we talked about it last time. It was 44 meters, 1 tackle break. Against the Roosters, no Jared Boyer-Hargraves there, 110 meters, 2 tackle breaks, try assist, a line break, and a line break assist. Can the Storm pack keep up with Penrith to the extent where guys like Harry Grant and Cam Munster have some ball to play on the front foot from? Or are they going to be shut out completely by this strong Penrith pack?
Yeah, definitely it's going to be the task, isn't it? I mean, we spoke about it on the show last week. Were the Storm pack big enough or mobile enough to take on some of the big players from the Roosters? And you could see towards the end of that game, they didn't exactly have the kind of impact that you need in terms of keeping a lead. I mean, we did say last week that, well, I did say that the Storm would shoot out to a lead and would be left to the Roosters to come back into the game. And they almost snatched it. If not for some Will Warbrick brilliance, they would have been left on the canvas floor wondering, what 2023 was all about for them. I think in the last 2 games between these two teams, it's really important. They played each other twice this year, and the Storm didn't show up in either game, losing 34-16 and 26-6. It's just not a favorable matchup for them at the moment. They used to be competitive for Penrith, and you're right. I think it has a lot to do with that forward pack not being strong enough.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about it in the preseason, Brandon Smith, Kenny Bromwich. You had quite a few sort of middle forwards, Jesse Bromwich, quite a few guys left that middle rotation in particular for the Storm. The other thing is when we look on the other side, Isaac Tungo back and fit, Jerome Luai back and fit. Panthers are full strength. That would have been the only shot the Storm had. You also have no Xavier Coates. Like if they were going to fluke a few tries, it's probably Xavier Coates over a couple of these nuggety wingers that the Panthers have. He's not there. You don't have that to kick for. Look, Warbrick probably won't save them this week. I mean, are we ready to go to score predictions, or do you have anything else we want to talk about in this one?
Look, I think we can maybe play a bit of hypothetical. And I think that if the Storm are to win this game, they've got to run traffic at Jerome Luai, really test him out, because I've dislocated my shoulder as well. It is not an easy injury to come back from, and it's one of those injuries that can reoccur. If you throw a lot at him early, he's probably not going to want to do too much early on and continue. They run the risk there, Penrith, by playing him in this game. They must think that it's important enough for him to play him and that they need him to beat the Storm. Otherwise, they would have sat him out. I just think as well, the thing that helps them, Luai normally defends on the left, and guess who's back this week? Jarome Hughes. He can get something going for the Melbourne Storm. Last week, they looked rudderless. They didn't really have a leader out there. Yeah, Munster tried to do it, but it's really been Jarome Hughes at least the last 2 to 3 years. He really steers the team around. His kicking game is almost more important than Munster's. They don't really have a general kicker out there. Then they haven't got a Moses or a Cleary, but I just think that if Hughes is there, Eli Katoa is bound to be running at Jerome Luai every single chance he can get.
Yeah, it's valid. I still just reckon no Pappenhausen, no Xavier Coates. You lose a bit of that strike advantage that they had on the edges. I just don't think they're going to be potent enough to put up a fight in this game. I really don't think it's going to be competitive, even from the start. I'm not saying big blowout, but I just think it's going to be a frustrating watch if you're a Storm fan or if you're tipping the Storm. So do not put money on them. Don't tip them.
Yeah, they've been clunky at best lately, and it hasn't been very pretty football. Probably not the kind of football they'd want to play. But you never say never in the finals. In saying that, what is your score prediction for this game?
I thought you were about to tip the Storm. I'm going to go with... look, I think the Storm will come out, and you saw it in the last 2 games. They had about 16 offloads against the Broncos. They had 8 against the Roosters. They're going to come out as underdogs here. I think they're going to have 20-plus offloads in this game. Some of that will stick. Not enough. 36-6 for the Panthers is what I'm saying. And it's going to be a pretty fluky try that the Storm will score. Could even be to 0, but 36-6 I'm calling.
Yeah, it's not really the Storm of old, is it? Back were the days when they had the Cameron Smiths of the world. At this point of the season, you'd probably back them. They were definitely underdogs going into that 2020 grand final as well, with the run that the Panthers were on. But I just don't see them ending the Panthers season, unfortunately. So I'm also going to tip the Panthers. However, I'm going to back the Storm to score first and start fast early and fade away in this game. I think that Penrith will get together. They have conceded the first try a fair bit this year as well and bounced back. I see a bit of, a bye week coming in there. Maybe they're not as switched on as possible. And about 15 minutes into the game, they click and eventually run away with it 26-10, I'm going to say, for the Panthers. So we've both got the Panthers winning 13 plus there, guys. We don't see it happening for the Storm, unfortunately. And we've got a fair few Storm fans that like to comment every week, and no doubt we'll hear about it. And they'll want to back their team to the hill.
Well, post your score prediction below. If you get it right, we'll give you a free hat.
There we go.
That's a hint for a sponsor that's coming up next week.
Coming soon.
Yeah, that's legit. That's a promise.
Today's video is proudly sponsored by the Hills Cricket Academy. The Hills Cricket Academy is a sports centre for all ages looking to get into cricket. Whether you're looking to hone your skills or just looking for a hit, then the Hills Cricket Academy is the place for you. The centre provides 5 fully operational nets that can be hired at the click of a button. World-class coaches Nick and Luke have been nurturing young talent for over 10 years, and I'm sure they'll be able to get you or your team's game to where it needs to be. Located at Unit 17, 14 to 16 Stanton Road, Seven Hills. Book a net or become a member today. The link is in the description below. And be sure to mention the Casual Athlete, and the boys down at the Cricket Academy will be more than happy to accommodate you.
But look, let's have a look at the Broncos and the Warriors, Miles. So how did you feel about the Warriors last week? They obviously had a great performance against the Knights, but the Broncos were equally impressive against the Storm the week before. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Which one of those performances was more impressive to you?
I was pleasantly surprised by the Warriors last week. They got back to playing the kind of football that they'd been playing all season long, right? It was let's hold the ball, let's not make any mistakes, and let's play slightly conservative, very non-Warriors football, but it works, and especially works in grand finals. I mean, we've seen teams make runs just on having a good completion rate alone. Takes me back to when my Cowboys made the 2017 grand final. They finished 8th, but they just completed, didn't make any mistakes, relied on their forward pack to get good meters, and relied on a good kicking game to pin teams into corners. And they really shut down one of the hottest players in the game last week as well, in Kalen Ponga, and that was the key, I think, to them getting this win. So, yeah, to stop the Knights on a 10-0 run that they were on was extremely impressive, and I'll give them absolute props for that. With the Broncos, they had a week off, so it's tough.
I like what you're saying about that Kellen Ponga, though, because we're looking at this and going, can they stop Reece Walsh? Kellen Ponga is just as good, if not better, in terms of the last couple of months of form. You also look at the parallels between the Knights and the Broncos. Dane Gagai, Bradman Best, Herbie Farmworth, Katoni Staggs. Kind of similar in terms of super potent center pairings. And again, those two were shut down. I think it was about 120 meters, 110 meters, not any attacking stats or anything like that. So they shut that down. The other thing I'm going to say here is the Warriors had the most statistically impressive performance in this final series so far. So I'm going to shoot some stats at you, and these a lot of these are best in class for the 2023 finals. So 40-10, they won by 30, 56% possession, 2,000 meters plus run in that game, 744 contact meters. To put that into perspective, when the Broncos destroyed the Storm, they had about 600. So 744 is pretty colossal there. You got a 7-2 line break advantage, 47 tackle bus, and an average set of 44 meters. Now, again, standard for that stat is normally about 35 to 39 meters. So 44 meters is colossal. And like you said, they're completing sets, they're rolling forward. They're going to go head to head with the Broncos in this game. This is probably two of the best attacking forward packs. I think Penrith had the best pack in terms of defense. When looking at attack, these guys don't get too many favors from their back three compared to the Panthers. It's their forward packs that are generating momentum. So it's going to be an absolute battle through the middle third.
Yeah, I actually think that these are the two best forward packs in the NRL right now. I just think that there's superstars in this forward pack. You've got the Tohu Harris versus Carrigan matchup. You've got Payne Haas taking on Adam Fanua-Blake. We put a poll up earlier in the week about who's the best prop in the NRL. Please go and vote for it, guys, if you haven't already. That will be deciding our season-ending awards as well, video that we've got coming up very soon. But, yeah, a lot of people switching over to the Adam Fanua-Blake train, and he can score a try, man. I can't believe I've seen a season from a try-scoring point of view from a prop that ever in recent memory. I just, I think back to the days of, when Luke Douglas, the magician, as he is between both of us, he used to crash over for a try. We used to think that was the best, prop tries we've ever seen. This guy's doing it with ease, and it's really hard for me to go against Adam Fanua-Blake right now. But the Broncos have had a week off. They're rested, and they are just such a hot team right now. And it's going to be another case of the Warriors need to stop the momentum. And can they do it 2 weeks in a row? I have some doubts.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Adam Fanua-Blake, probably the most creative prop in the competition right now. But the thing with him is this year he's advanced to the point where he can now play 70 minutes in a game and be effective over that time. So it's a different guy. You talk about Carrigan and Tohu Harris. They're both guys who in the regular season, they might get a bit of a rest. But in these games, they're playing 80 minutes. And they're producing at a level that you couldn't do for an entire season, but they can do it for a month. The big battle here is Sean Johnson versus Adam Reynolds. And historically, over the last 10 years, you would say Adam Reynolds is going to win the kicking game, the control, and setting up his teammates, and Sean is individual flair. But this year, Adam Reynolds had plenty of individual flair, and Sean has been rock solid. So I don't know, man. I'm starting to lean Warriors the more I think about this game. It just feels like the kind of game where, like you were talking before when we were chatting, the Warriors have more experience in terms of finals experience. A lot of these Broncos guys are homegrown guys. I'll let you share the numbers, but a lot of them have come up in the last few years in that Broncos system, and they haven't been this far into the finals yet. Their last appearance before this year was that 58-0 loss to Parramatta, which I remember fondly. But, no, look, I think the Warriors come out this game.
It was, I think it was a night out on the pokies beforehand. Don't know if there'll be any nights out on the pokies or down on Caxton Street before this one, but I do see where you're coming from with the Warriors. They've got some guys that they signed this year who bring a pretty solid amount of finals experience. We have Charles Nickel-Klokstad, who probably had the game of his career last week. He was outstanding, over 200 meters, 20 plus runs. He was just unstoppable. And the one thing I will say that, again, in favor of the Warriors, is that one of the hottest defensive teams in the comp over the last 10 weeks, especially, was that Knights team. And the Broncos are extremely good with their goal line defense and their general defense as well. And being able to break that, I think they're going to need a bit of luck to go their way. They're going to need the rub of the green, the Warriors. But I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what the betting or sports betting is suggesting, with the Warriors being $3.90.
Their value. They're priced very similarly to the Storm, and it's not the same thing. I'm actually going to tip the Warriors this week, by the way. I think this is a real coin toss game. I think they're similarly structured. They've got a veteran half, Reynolds and Johnson. They've got an explosive 6, Ezra Mam and it's Murray Martin. Both have guys at hooker who didn't have a lot of raps coming into this year. Egan's been the better hooker, but Walters has shown a lot. Both have incredible forward packs through the middle, underrated guys on the edges. I just think the Warriors will put the clamps on in defense at the right times, and I think they're going to have those moments that they're going to win as well. And they're going to face the Panthers in the grand final this year, which I didn't give them any chance preseason at all. But I'm backing them this week. So up the wires.
So you're trying to dethrone, I guess, the tip king here. I'm going to go against you and say the Broncos. I know we've said a lot of positive things about the Warriors, but I can't get away from the fact that Adam Reynolds is the most experienced finals player on either side for this matchup. And I just think that he's just so classy. And when he's playing to his full potential, the Broncos are so calm. They have a general out there controlling the game, and they have strike all over the park, so they can hit you from anywhere. They can hit it left, right, Walsh coming out the back, through the middle with Carrigan and Haas, as we said. Billy Walters, probably the most underrated hooker in the game this year. I just think that the Broncos, and Kevin Walters has done a phenomenal job at turning them around from what they were. And as you said, we remember them a couple of years ago in the grand finals, in the finals, just absolutely flopping it. It's one of those things where I think this Broncos team has been touted to do something special for the last couple of years. And I actually think they can go all the way and win it.
Huge call. It's going to be tough to win it when they lose to the Warriors, but I like the source. Look, I agree with you too. In terms of Kevin Walters, weren't we talking preseason about Selwyn Cobbo on a podcast saying that Kevin Walters is a shit coach but a good bloke? Like,
if anyone wants to go and look at my coach rankings video, he is quite low, and feel free to bash me in the comments about that one. But yeah, I didn't rate him at all as a coach.
Yeah, he hadn't done it yet. And look, to be fair, these games are where you find out who he is as a coach. Like Brad Arthur has done a lot with Parramatta, getting them from a spoon team to a top level. But if you can't win these games, you don't move up the coach rankings that much. So for Kevin Walters, it's a big one. For Andrew Webster as well, give him some credit too. This Warriors team was a team that a lot of people had in the bottom 4. And he's just sort of instilled a defensive system there that's working brilliantly. They've got some talent, but they've had talent for a while and they haven't done anything with it. So I look at this Warriors team and they play well above their weight in terms of the raw talent they have. They get Tuivasa-Sheck next year too, so it's going to be interesting to watch. But I think they go to the grand final this year. What are you thinking in terms of game scripts? So give me your first half, feed into the second half. How is this one decided? Is it close?
Yeah, I think the Broncos start fast. They always have. The Warriors in the regular season and even in last week's game, they didn't really take over the game until the second half. And it's kind of been a bit of their script or a bit of their nature this year. They just haven't really been able to start games quickly. And I think that could hurt them here because the Broncos can just put on points like that. And all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard, you could be down 16, 20-0, and you've barely had time to catch your breath. So they've got to be on the ball from the get-go, but I just don't see it because I've seen too much of it this year. I think the Broncos get out to an early lead and the Warriors slowly start to reel them in just by getting back to what they know, getting back to that, game script that's been working for them all year, just not making mistakes, kicking game, pin them down. And I guess it's a way of waiting for the Broncos to make a mistake, but I just think that in a big game, the Broncos, they like to chance their arm, and we've seen it from Walsh. He can make a mistake, especially when they think they've got the run of it. They'll throw the ball around. I don't know if it'll be different. That kind of gameplay can go either way in a final. You could chance your arm because you're, or just play the way you have been playing all regular season, or it could go to your head and think, shit, this is a preliminary final. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. So you can go into your shell or you could make a mistake. I think it'll end up being close. And I actually think that there will be a controversial refereeing call in this game that could cost the Warriors a place in the grand final. That's kind of how I see the game script going.
That's crazy. That's crazy. See, I don't mind your game script. I think they could start hot. I personally reckon we're going to see a couple of big symbolic hits from the Warriors early in this game. I'm going to see Payne Haas get put in his back a couple of times. Pat Kerrigan. I just think the Warriors are going to come out. They're going to try and look for that contact early to make a statement. The other thing is, we talked about the Knights game last week and them starting slow. The Knights had one player above 100 meters in their forward pack. To put that into perspective, the Broncos had 5 middle forwards over 100 meters against the Storm. But it's not the same game. Like the Broncos, when they win, we all talk about the outside backs. When the Broncos win, it's because their middle forwards dominate. And they have dominated post-contact meters all year. The Warriors are going to muscle up in this game. It's going to come very difficult to the Broncos. I can't talk down the Broncos too much. They've got to, Reece Walsh has been clutch this year. Adam Reynolds has been clutch this year. They're a fantastic team, but I just think the Warriors are going to win some of those moments. It's bounce to the ball at the end of the day. I think, mate, score prediction's hard. I'm going to ask for yours so I can think about mine because I'm struggling to think of one.
Yeah, as I said, I think that it could be a controversial decision not going the Warriors' way in this one, and I think they'll get, to a degree, dudded in a way. I just don't know what to think, especially after Ashley Klein's efforts last week with the Roosters and the Storm game. Jeez, heard a lot about that during the week. You're right, it is tough, but I'm going to go Broncos 19, Warriors 16.
Mate, we are thinking very similar scores. I promise you I didn't just copy you here. I was going to go 18-16.
Okay.
The Warriors way. And what I'm saying is the Warriors are up 18-12. The Broncos score a try with 3 minutes to go. Adam Reynolds hits the upright, misses the kick. I know he's clutch.
He has done that before.
Yeah, it's not going to happen this time. Warriors get it done.
Think back to the 2021 grand final. He had a chance to tie the game from the sideline and just couldn't do it. So, well, guys, that's our score predictions. Let us know if you believe mine or Longy's. If you like his hat, please make sure that you comment down in the comments. Please make sure that you like and subscribe. We do put out weekly videos each and every week here on the channel. We will be doing it as well over the off season. Please stay tuned for our yearly awards video coming out a few days just before the grand final. We're not going to compete with the Dally M's, I don't think, but we will give out the Cashies. They will be epic, and we cannot wait for next season as well. We've got so much coming up. It's been a phenomenal 2023. And we'll catch you on the next one.